Welcome back to the Strength Studio, where tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be the host. The interviewer becomes the interviewee. So, whoa, boss man, the infamous coach.
Oh.
What is your actual name?
You prepped that whole sentence, didn't
I did.
Love that.
I rehearsed it in my head.
My name depends who's asking. If it's HMRC, it's Rachel. My name is Callum Joseph Barney. The people love the middle name.
Yeah, because
CJB.
I often hear people refer to you, they'll ask me a question about you and they'll be like, CJ, and I'm like, who the fuck is CJ?
I've been like, for a long time it was either CJB, which was weird, all of my initials.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my fault because my old brand was named CJB.
Mm-hmm.
But it was CJB or Barney because people didn't realise my name was actually Callum.
Yes, I've heard people call you Barney before, and again, I'm like, who? What? I don't know that.
Yes, I have heard.
Yeah,
How formally are we doing this?
Heard.
Should I be anticipating like an absolute berated, like hard interview style?
No, I'm just going to make you cry.
It's not hard.
That's the goal. Anyway, so obviously you are a well-renowned coach, but how did we get here? I feel like people like to think they know a lot about you, but they probably don't, and you skim over a lot of like the details that led you there. So tell me about your childhood.
Really?
Yeah, where did you grow up? What was your
Why did I grow up?
Where did you grow up?
What? They didn't kill me at
Where
birth.
did you grow up? What were you like as a child? What was your family dynamic like?
Right, fuck, okay. I didn't realise we were like
Oh, yeah.
Stephen, what's his fucking name?
Bartlett.
Bartletting this. Okay,
Start with where?
I don't remember.
Where were you
I
born?
was born in Cambridge, but didn't live
Fancy.
there. Well, yeah, but I didn't live there.
Okay.
I know nothing about my birth, don't know the time, don't know the day, don't really care.
You don't know the day?
Well, I know the date, but I don't know the day. I don't know if you know, people are like, it was a Monday at 3. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you fucking virgin.
Monday's child is full of grace. Me.
I stand by what I just said.
That's the only part of that I know.
Okay, well, it's not about you, Rachel.
It's not.
Yes, I don't know any of that. I grew up, the bits I remember, like, so I was in Hatfield Broad Oak for primary school, which isn't that interesting. I was a good, nice kid for a long time. We'll figure out why it went downhill.
Yeah.
Bit of a try hard to like make everyone happy. Always had this like, okay, I've got to make sure everyone else is doing well. My mum vouches for this and tells a beautiful story about me playing netball because I hated netball, but I played. Because the girls were shit and they kept losing and they were really down. So I played at centre so that I could help and would kill myself running around, try to make sure we could do better. So primary school was that. I was just like a soft, very sweet kid.
Good kid.
Yeah, good kid. Like, did the choir.
What?
I know.
How am I only just finding out about this?
Because my balls have drop since. And so I can hit the tune of a dead bird. But no, I did the choir. I did no sport, nothing of interest, had no hobbies. No, like, my parents talk about the fact that when I was a kid, I was absent. Like, there was nothing. I had nothing to me. There was nothing of interest.
You didn't have an idea of what it was that you wanted to do when you were a kid?
I wanted to be a magician for a bit.
Oh, you should have done that.
I made trauma appear.
So fun.
Ta-da! I had no things, and then we moved. So primary school, that was Hatfield Broad Oak. Then we moved. I don't remember some of it. Like college was in Essex, the Bishop Stortford High School for boys. I'm sure there's more in like schools in there. I don't really know or care.
What was it like going to an all-boys school?
Hell, like horrific.
Yeah.
I don't get along with a lot of guys because I think men are dickheads. Love you lads. But I just like young lads are just so, they want to show each other up and the bravado and like, I'm 3'2", it's not my vibe. Right. I'm not trying to flex on everyone. I just don't care for it. So I didn't get along with it in school. But also like to be a lad that they liked, you had to do sport or you had to be a dickhead. I was a dickhead, but not in a way that they would get along with. And I had no sport.
So in what way were you a dickhead?
I just fucked up.
Fucked up?
I was a weird kid. Like by the time I was at Bishop Stortford, I started like, I don't remember how or where that bit started, but like I started skipping meals. I started hating myself really, like year 7, I knew I hated myself. And I had very few friends. I already knew that I was pretty, it's like chatting to Hillary.
Hillary's
my therapist.
I'll send her the link.
Tune in, save me several £100 of therapy sessions. Yeah, I already knew that I hated myself at that point. Like had a real like disdain for life. And I had that for a lot of childhood.
So you say you knew at that point, but was there anything that you can look back on now and sort of,
Nope.
you know,
Hillary's not managed. You ain't going to get it. Okay. We don't know, like, I know that in primary school I always felt immensely lonely. And I don't know if there was anything of like of having ADHD at that point that I felt, because what's the neurodivergent is what they say, whatever lovely terminology that actually fucking means.
Yeah.
But I just didn't identify with people. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand what they were like.
You weren't a people person.
Well, I know I loved people. I just didn't understand them. Like, there weren't people like me who were thinking like I was thinking.
Okay. How were you thinking?
I just had this like impending doom sense of life, of like, there is so little time, quite young. Like, I was just, everything felt stupid and easy. Everything was very, very easy. So like, I didn't try in school, but I would do very well. And then I'd be like the kid that talked too much and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But nothing was difficult to do. I don't think I didn't work hard for a very, very long time. And I didn't get why people would get stressed about silly stuff. I didn't get why they would find things difficult. I hated like slow and stupid, which is why I think the lads piss me off, because they're all thick as pig shit.
Right.
And then I was just like, I don't like you lot.
And this was like secondary school?
Yeah, I mean, this started like late primary school, but that's like my earliest memories, so I can't remember prior to
So
that.
what do you think your bottom line of school report would have been from your teachers?
It was literally sentences like, Callum is very, very capable, but does not want to focus in class.
Right.
Always, literally until, I mean, that was post-masters. Like, it didn't stop.
Oh, okay.
It was always like, I pick things up fast, and I would lead the class if I wanted to, or I would lead it into a hellhole where I'd be like, I'm just going to fuck around. Because it was easy to get. And I'd get to a point that I was comfortable with that. But if I wasn't interested, gone. Couldn't give a fuck. I wouldn't even turn up. But if I was interested, I'd like double down. ADHD, apparently. And because I'm bright.
So
I was.
So in hindsight, knowing now that you have ADHD, does it make a lot more sense looking back?
I don't know, because how I am as an adult is way worse than I was as a child.
Oh no.
Fucking Christ, you have no idea. Like, as a kid, I was very good at focusing and like really retaining knowledge. My mum tells me a story when I was a kid.
Oh, I know the story, yes.
I shouldn't do that as an interviewer, because I just don't want to tell it.
Tell me.
I was fucking learning.
Tell me the story.
So when they were teaching me to read, put a book in front of me and be like, you read, like they'll read a sentence, now you read a sentence, and I'd read the sentence, and they're like, good, now read the next sentence, and they'd take the book away, and I would read the sentence, and they'd be like, now read the next sentence, and I'd read the next sentence that's not there, and it was becoming incredibly obvious that I was memorizing the whole book.
You couldn't actually read at all.
Nope. I genuinely apparently had difficulty reading.
Oh.
But because I wasn't reading, I'd memorize and then reread in my mind.
Right.
But I was just quick.
Yeah.
I was a quick kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you were saying that the lads were dickheads and you didn't want to be like them, did you encounter at that point in your life, so secondary school sort of age, like bullying?
Oh yeah, in primary as well. So in primary school, like I said, really soft kid, but I remember being called Titch, and then like, I was like primary school bullying, so it's not that big a deal, and it's not like fucking trauma off the back of it, but yeah, so that was just a bit rough. And then secondary school, people just started kicking the shit out of me. Like,
why?
I don't know, boys will be boys. Yeah, no, I mean literally like, I don't mean like, oh, let's push you around, I mean like kick the shit out of me.
And you have no idea why any of that was?
I was cute, soft, boring kid.
You're
I was just an easy target. Like, that's what like kids are like in hindsight. I see a lot more of it. I have like parents come to me and tell me about these things of kids will just pick on their kid because they're nice. I mean, it's just a target. And I was bullied a lot, and then it was in Essex, and we used to get the 319, this bus that was like renowned for drama.
Right.
Like, I remember one of the lads beating the shit out of the driver.
Wow.
I remember one of the lads throwing one of the other boys' shoes out the window on a motorway, and him kicking off till the bus stopped, getting out, and then we just left this kid on a motorway. We tripped
on a motorway?
We tipped over a bus, running side to side, played cricket on bus with public on it.
Wait.
This escalates really fast, right?
You're on the bus and you decide to run side to side so much that the bus tips over.
Double-decker bus. You can ask my brother. We got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I can
It used
imagine.
to break down and they wouldn't send replacement buses, just leave us wherever we
Like,
were.
fuck those kids.
Genuinely, we were the worst. But on that bus, I remember I'd never had a temper. I was never an aggressive person. Up until that school, I was like the softest kid. I really can't emphasize, I don't know what other words to use than soft. But then at that school, I remember after getting the beaten shit out of me a lot, and I was already having this like existential crisis of a 10-year-old, I don't know. That I finally started snapping every now and again and would have moments of just like, I'm just going to kill him.
What, do you think just because you just had enough, or?
Yeah, I was tired. I talk about it now, about being tired.
Yeah.
You're staring at me with such intense, what do you mean? What do you mean? Talk to me, Stephen.
This is all brand new information.
I haven't told you about this.
Some of it.
Some.
Not all.
But yeah, I just started snapping a bit more, where I was just having a bit of a harder time with it. I don't think my family will listen to this, but my brother was not good, and he was definitely, he used to kick shit out of me pretty bad, and he would taunt me pretty horrifically in front of people. But there were two lads, one Ollie something. I only say this ginger boy because that's how I identify him. Nothing wrong with being ginger. Everyone, calm down. There's so much wrong with being ginger. I remember he was the first one I snapped at. And then after that, it was Connor O'Brien. And I remember the names because I really resent I did it. I didn't like.
How did you snap?
The first one, I tried to break his neck because he'd made mum jokes and was then insulting me. And it's the first time I ever lost my temper in my life, and I remember it. It was fucking horrible. And I remember in my mind being like, I'm just going to kill him. I just gone. But I was, like I said, having other problems. And then Connor O'Brien, who made jokes about my mum, I do not tolerate jokes.
So you don't like mum jokes?
Mum jokes or aggressive towards women, no tolerance. Absolutely no tolerance.
So where you were saying that you were quite a soft child, were you a mummy's boy?
My mum, Karen, is a fucking angel.
Your mum, Karen, is the least Karen.
Well, she wants to be. But she's she was always the only cornerstone where I was like, this is where I'm safe. This is my bit where whatever was wrong with me as a kid, wherever it came from, mum's always been safe. Now, if life's hard, check it with mum. Just see what mum says. So I was always so protective over her. And I just developed this, if you made mum jokes were really common at that age in a boys' school, really common. And I just didn't like them.
So where you were saying around year 7-ish is when you really started to realise that you despised yourself. Do you think any of that was influenced by the bullying?
Probably.
Yeah.
I haven't got to that bit in therapy yet. I'll check in a couple of weeks. I'll check with Hilary. Yeah, probably, because I was always very, very lonely, and I must have probably rooted myself in other people's opinions because they made sense.
Right.
Not because the insults were logical, but I am alone. They hate me for this. Stop stifling that yawn. Oh, do you just need to poo? Are you okay? They hate me for this, so that must be why.
Right.
So if I hate myself for those reasons, it just made sense.
Okay.
I'm a logical person.
And you mentioned that it was around that time again that you started skipping meals.
Yeah.
So I think anyone who's done any research on you at all will probably know that you have spoken about quite openly that you suffered with anorexia, bulimia, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
When did that start?
It was only, time frames are so hard. So in secondary school, you used to get meal tickets. So mum would pay, a tenner for 5 meal tickets. It was definitely a tenner. And you'd go in each day and you give your meal ticket and they give you a meal. So the meal's £2.
Yeah.
And then it would just be if mum gives me a tenner and I don't buy any meals, I get a tenner.
Right.
So I did that for several months.
So at first it was just money to spend on other things.
Yeah, I just didn't spend it though.
Oh,
just I think, I don't know which way around it was. If I was being a prick, taking money, and then had to skip meals, or skipping meals and using money as an excuse.
Right.
Because I genuinely don't remember.
Okay.
I kind of think it's the latter of I think I wanted to skip meals anyway. So there's one thing, I hope she doesn't listen to this. If my mum listens to this, Karen, go away. That I grew up with my mum on diets. She was always on a diet. And I remember the pills. I remember the Atkins diet. I remember the slimline drinks. I remember the carb blocker pills. I didn't know these things existed until my mum unintentionally introduced me to all of it. I will say that also my tongue is making T's really difficult.
That's what that sound is.
Sorry. Have you break down in your own time?
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so didn't like know what it was until my mum had introduced me. So I think diet culture was prevalent. And I've been called Titch, which was like fat and short. I didn't realise I was fat until someone told me I was.
Oh. Well, who told you that?
All of the people that bullied me.
Oh.
Have you been keeping up?
Yeah, I have, but like I wouldn't automatically have thought if someone was calling you Titch that they were also implying that you were fat. But
they did overtly say I was fat as well. But I like the metaphorical ones. I don't know. Not really. I was a kid. Maybe a bit podge. I didn't have abs, so
obviously must have been absolutely huge.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like, I remember not being comfortable with my body.
Okay.
But again, probably just because I was told I shouldn't be.
That's such a young age as well, though. Like, as you know now, as an adult, there's no way you can expect whatever your body looked like in year 7, 8, 9 to be
fucking stacked now. Those bitches didn't know what was going to come. I'm now 74 kilos of.
Okay, so that's not funny.
If I had feelings.
So, like, just skipping a couple meals at school, though.
Yeah.
To like, I think
nowadays take ages to get to now, isn't it?
Well, nowadays it is so common for people to have some form of disordered eating that you hear terms like anorexia and bulimia, like, oh yeah, me too. You never really take a moment to think about the depths of that and how miserable and how dangerous those behaviours are. So how does it go from just skipping a few meals and keeping hold of the money?
Praise is always the problem. So I did a TEDx talk.
Yes. I've got a question about your TEDx talk.
I don't know. I don't talk about it. It was awful.
We're going to talk about it.
But I did talk about the fact that people label success, and that's the damage. It was never for me someone saying you're fat, so I wanted to diet. That was hard, and it was horrible. Dieting is hard. What makes it easy is praise. And that's what becomes the limiting factor of, like, what's the most credit you've ever been given? Probably a transformation photo. Probably the time where everyone's like, oh my God, you've done amazing. Yeah. So all they saw was you whistling away at yourself and went, well fucking done, that's amazing. They have no idea how you did it. Yeah. And it's the most common thing. So when I was, the time frames of this are really hard, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but when I did become anorexic and then bulimic, I posted a transformation photo. I was really fucking proud. I was like, oh my God, look how close to killing myself I've gotten. And people went, oh my God, like that, that's great, you should do more of that. So I tried, but all I'd done was starve myself. I was attached to the image because it was like what everyone else wanted. Yeah. And that's what made me keep doing it. So I think praise was the most damage. The bullies were pricks, but I'll be honest, I would have got over it, because I didn't have to listen to them. But
reinforcement.
Where the world's telling you you're doing the right thing, of course, young teenager, I'm like, well, they like me for this.
Yeah, liking me. Like, the amount of attention that I would get after I'd lost weight compared to when I was overweight, like, ridiculous.
Ain't no parent keeping the picture of their chubby child in their passport photo. It's the transformation. Yeah. I remember Blythe Baird does a thing about this, and it's so fucking dangerous, and it's the bit that people do not talk about. They talk about the impact of the negative, but no one talks about the impact of the positive. Every person you've praised for losing weight, did you ask them how they did it? Probably not. You just said, well done.
Yeah. It's a really difficult topic in general, especially where we both work in the fitness industry. And some people's goals are to lose weight.
Super goal.
It's a really tricky one to navigate. And of course, I think that's the assumption. People see, oh, you've lost weight. Automatically, that's a success. And so there comes the praise.
Tune into my talk if you want to know more. Don't. I just...
I will come back to the TED Talk. But, so do you think it was kind of a natural, in quotes, progression from anorexia, where you're starving yourself till you get to the point where you're like, I can no longer starve myself, I'm going to have to eat?
No.
No?
So, hold on, so the having to eat bit, as in how did I get back to eating?
No, how did it go from anorexia to bulimia?
Oh, logic. So, I'm a very logical person. I wanted to lose weight. I saw books that said, if you eat less calories, you lose weight. And I was like, well, I could eat the food that's shit, like fucking basil, and that's got no calories in it. That sounds wank.
Who's eating basil?
Me. And you could lose weight. Well, what if I just don't eat it? Then I don't have to bother. Anorexia becomes really logical, and it's a really simple thing. The danger of eating disorders is that they make sense at the time, and your logic is really impaired. Bulimia was, I want the bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't like dieting. It's boring. But if I get rid of the bad thing, I don't know where I learned bulimia was a thing, by the way.
No.
Because some people come across. Also, I will say, we're not going to stay on this topic too long because I'm very cautious. I don't like talking about. Only reason I don't talk about this bit of my past is that phrase.
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk about the rabbit hole without leading you down it.
Yeah.
This is, if you're listening
you don't want
to
to
this
influence people
and you get a little bit of a buzz, get off the fucking podcast. It's not good for you. But yeah. So I think most people come across that disorder by eating too much till they feel sick. And then that link comes in.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. It was just the logic of like, I've eaten something I shouldn't have. Well, I know I can get this out of my system, so I did.
Yeah.
And then I'm a habitual and addictive person. So till it was like 20 times a day. So I went to a GP once. I was like, to the extent that, so I don't have a control of my reflex anymore. Like as an adult, I can't control
Gag reflex.
No, not gag. So if I want, so this is awful, but if I was sat here now, you know, we just stopped and had food.
Yeah.
I could get that out, sat here, do nothing. No hands, none of that stuff.
That is fucked.
Yeah. I've broken that part of my system because I was doing it all day, every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, so it became habitual.
20 times a day?
Yeah, that was it. So I went to a GP and I was transparent. I was like, so I'm being sick a lot and it's called bulimia, but I'm being sick all the time. And they were like, okay, how many times are we talking? So is it minor, so it's once a day or every other day? I was like, it's a lot more than that. And the top end of their bracket was like 6 times a day. And I was like, oh, I'm doing this at least 15, 20 times. And she was like, you're an incredibly extreme case. And then I came back and she was like, you're the worst case I've ever come across. And I was like, win.
Not a win. Not something to celebrate.
No, but I was fucked. Like I felt unique because of it. And I was like, oh, I'm doing something
Do you think as well being male made you unique in that? Because obviously nowadays we do know that eating disorders are very prevalent in men as well as female, but I think the media attention is definitely on the females.
I do not know many men that suffered with that one. Anorexia, loads, but more they were bigorexia.
Yes.
That one of trying to put on mass,
or orthorexia.
Yeah, I was that too, by the way. I had that one. Collected all of the Pokemon cards. They so I think most of the lads were like the bigorexia, orthorexia, or binge eating.
Yeah.
Whereas I seem to have just slipped through the net because that's led by female culture, because that's where I found out about dieting. Crazy. Ask me how I stopped it.
How did you stop it?
I decided.
So, okay, tell me about that day. Tell me about that moment where you decided to stop. Why?
I was in Wagamama's.
Why would you stop?
I fucking love noodles. No, I'm sorry. So, I stopped anorexia and bulimia at separate times. I stopped anorexia first because I liked being strong. And it's why I say powerlifting saved my life.
Yeah, because you started going to the gym whilst you were anorexic, right?
Because it's part of what was cutting out calories. And I was like, oh my God, I like lifting things, but I'm piss weak. If I eat a bit more, I'll get a bit stronger. And then I could justify it in that, which is why for a long time, training was still disordered because it was not for good reasons, but it was saving me from other disorders.
And I think it's fair to say that actually, although in your case, it turned out well, it could so easily go the other way with a lot of people of trying to justify food.
Yeah, completely. But that's literally what I was doing.
Yeah.
But it just so happens I ended up being really good at that. Yeah. So that's lucky. And then bulimia. So I was in Wagamama's. We just had a meal. I tracked those calories. It was the only meal I ate that day. No one knew that. But I was like, if I'm going to eat this, it was 697 calories. It was a duck thing. I remembered that. That's weird. I remember it on the menu. Anyway, I was with my Uncle Dave and Auntie Jane, and then we ordered some sort of ice cream dessert. And as I just routinely did, went to the bathroom to go be sick, because that's just what I did. I remember standing there, not having to do anything. So bear in mind how fucked that system is. You just stand there and go, now be sick, and then was. And I just had a moment when, this is fucking disgusting. And then I never did it again. I just for once just went, nah, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
But when I smoked, it was the same thing of just one day deciding, like, whatever that of me was, a switch is all I've ever needed.
Yeah.
Switch to turn it on, switch to turn it off.
So we'll move on from this soon, but when you went to the doctors, you took yourself to the doctor?
Yeah.
Why?
Or no
Was
one
that
else was going.
anything? Was it specifically because
I was worried
of
about
that?
my teeth.
Okay.
Because they were staining yellow, and it was like it was doing an amount of damage, and I was just aware that I wasn't having to try. And I'd heard about, so I didn't know it was a thing when it started, and I found out it was a thing, and I was like, oh, I'm bulimic. Looked into it, and they were like, oh, so like women, you can't have, like, it might damage if you can have kids.
Yeah.
But the severity of what I was dealing with just wasn't written down. So I was like,
Yeah.
I talked to a GP. She nearly cried, bless her.
Did anyone else know that you were suffering?
My parents tell me a lot about how much my room stank as a kid.
Yeah.
So
That's now fucked.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, that's enough on that one because I don't want it to be key.
Yeah, like you said, it's one that I think gives a lot of context to your suffering. But again, you don't want to end up leading people down.
When you are in that mindset, you can really indulge in the topic.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest, it's not that fucking interesting.
Okay, so you started going to the gym, originally helped you to justify eating, stuff like that. A lot of people will know the story. You originally went with your brother because you needed a spot.
Yeah.
And then you started dabbling. Turned out that you were actually quite good at it once you were eating a bit more.
Kind of, yeah.
So talk me through that next phase, getting into lifting, and also you're out of school. What's happening?
I went to uni.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Studying what?
Psychology, applied psychology and criminology.
Ooh.
People think applied means like it's just on the side. It means applicable psychology.
Okay.
And criminology. I did my A-levels in stuff.
Yeah.
Sociology, law.
Was that
psychology.
with sports or coaching in mind?
Oh fuck no! I was nowhere near this. I hated all of it. I hated the
So
work
why
life.
did you do it? Just
I wanted
because
to be,
it was something to do?
No, so that degree, the psychology, was I wanted to be a psychologist. I was very aware of like what I had gone through, and that I hated it, and I didn't want other people to go through that. There's kind of a theme in all I've ever done was always like, I'll do the terrible thing. Now I'll stop you doing it. So yeah, psychology was for that, but there's always this idea of like maybe I could go into law because my law teachers loved me for my ability to retain knowledge, and I was just opinionated.
Yeah.
And I adore those teachers. They were phenomenal. But yeah, so that's why I went and studied psychology. And then about 6 months in, I realised, oh, I like this gym shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd taken to it well. I was still obsessive. I wasn't trying to get strong. I was trying to get in shape. But I was using squat, bench, deadlift work.
Okay.
You stifling a yawn is the funniest thing to watch.
I'm not doing anything.
I swear on my life you didn't just stifle a yawn.
Tell me more about doing psychology.
But yeah, so I was still training. I know some people from that still. But yeah, so I did during my degree. Oh, hated the degree. And then
Why'd you hate it?
I was bored.
Yeah.
And it wasn't hard.
I feel like psychology is one that a lot of people start.
Psychology sounds like it opens loads of doors.
Yeah.
It opens none. Like if you're doing psychology, you fucked it. Because if you want to be a clinical psychologist, you need like a decade of time to the education, not a couple of years. And people don't realise you got to go do the rounds and all that shit. So it just ends up leaving you in a corner of like, what are you actually going to do with this? And I was doing well with the gym stuff. I was enjoying it. And I was making it my personality, as everyone who goes to the gym fucking does.
So tell me a bit about your lifting career.
Jesus Christ, which bit?
How does it go from, oh, I'm all right at SBD to 3 times world champion?
Oh, it's such a long story, this, isn't it?
It is.
Isn't it weird that I get bored of my own story? I've told it a lot. So, okay, going to the gym religiously, I'm training at a place called Pavilions, which is where Amelia trains. And that's back home because I'm on year 2 or 3 of uni, so I'm commuting rather than living there anymore.
Yeah.
And I was doing SBD work. I was crap. But my mate said to me, like, oh, you're quite strong for a small guy, which is still not a compliment.
Yeah.
It's not great now either.
It's like the male equivalent of for a girl.
Yeah, love it. It's really good. Stronger than all of you. Shut the fuck up. And he said, have you heard of powerlifting? I was like, no. So I had a look, saw a competition and just went to the competition. Well, actually, emailed, then Pat Reeves replied, being like, I said, these are my numbers, I'm able to go. She went, Callum, I've entered you in the competition, we'll see you at this date. And I was like, this bitch does not respect boundaries. So yeah, went to first competition. I was shit, came last. And then I was like, I'll do this again now. Like,
Yeah.
because for the first time in my life, I was validated at something.
Even though you came last.
Yeah, but I did it. I did it. There were like 4 of us. It's quite easy to come last.
4?
Yeah, in my weight
In
class.
your weight class.
It's a regional, mate. Breathe. Also, powerlifting wasn't a thing back then. We didn't have all this like Gymshark nonsense.
I only learned about it 3 years ago.
Yeah. I've run training cycles. Your lifting career. I just enjoyed it. I enjoyed feeling like there was something I might be able to get good at because I wanted to, not because someone would let me. I hated education. I hated in education being told when I was good at something rather than like measuring it by something quantifiable.
Yeah.
But they're setting an exam on a memory test. I was like, fuck you, I'm better at this than that score.
Yeah.
I did pretty well in the exams too, but it just bugged me. So I was like, well, I can actually just work. I can just work at this and make myself better. So I went to nationals because I qualified by bang on the qualifying total.
Yeah.
At that point, it was like 402.5. So I wasn't very strong.
This when you were a junior, right?
Yeah. And I went, big deal, 7-hour drive, got to nationals. It was awful. It was in Kings Lynn and it was all the traffic in the world. Yeah. And did squats 3 for 3. Good fucking day.
Nice.
Made the second one look like an RP10. Made the third one look like an RP 8.5. Don't know what the fuck happened there. And then did my first bench, skipped the commands at 110, and then they were like, what would you like? I was like, same again, 117. Maths is really hard. You right there, mate?
Yeah.
And they loaded 117 twice, I failed it twice. So I bombed out, and I cried.
Yeah.
And then we drove home.
First nationals.
And then I quit powerlifting and never did it again.
It'd be such a shorter story.
Wouldn't it fucking just?
It would be so short. So this is still whilst you're doing your degree? Matching up roughly time-wise?
Yeah, I must have just been finishing up my degree because I was still with my second girlfriend.
Okay.
I'd time it by them instead.
Just markers. So you were saying that you found education to be boring.
Yeah.
So was there a point where you were like, I don't think I actually want to do anything with psychology or applied criminology?
I just started to lead bits towards working in fitness.
Okay.
I was like, if I'm doing psychology, let's just pretend it's for this.
Okay.
But my parents were like, you're wasting a lot of time with this gym stuff, because I was. And I was like, I'm going to do this for a career. And they're like, you're not. Like, that's not a career.
Yeah, didn't they want you to be a lawyer?
Well, lawyer or physicist was like the early on thing. I was
No
good
pressure.
but I was good at a lot of stuff. And
Yeah.
like, if I'd wanted to, if I'd chosen that, I would have been a lawyer. Like, definitely could have gone that way. Just didn't want to do it. So yeah, I just directed my degree towards that. My attendance in year 3 was 3%. I'd kind of given up on going to uni. I hadn't given up on doing it.
That's really low.
It is. Got a first.
The audacity.
I know, trust me. One of my, Emily Mallinson, she was my study partner for it all, fucking hated me. I'd turn up to nothing and I'd get good grades and she definitely hated me for it.
I had to try so hard.
It must be tough being stupid.
I was such perfectionist that I remember, and I was a quiet, good kid. And I mentioned this in my episode of the podcast of like, I sought validation from things like teachers and stuff like that. I remember having this one piece of homework and it was in geography and we had to talk about an example of an animal adapting to their environment in the habitat. And I
really remember this.
I chose a really obscure animal. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's some sort of tiny little primate.
Cat.
Primate.
A dog cat.
A monkey dog cat. Anyway, I remember I'd written it all out, but I wanted to make a really nice background. It was an A3 piece of paper. And so I wanted to do really lightly coloured in leaves, like rainforest leaves. And I got one of them wrong. And I went, I have to start again. And I did that 3 times.
We would not have got along in school.
I did that 3 times, turned up to the geography class, didn't have it because I was like, it's not perfect, I can't hand it in, and made up an excuse.
So I used to do that, but I didn't do the work.
And would just be like, so, something happened.
I did lie a little bit.
Okay.
I remember, did I tell you about the English one once?
I don't know.
When I was doing my English A-levels and I came in, I don't know what happened, but at some point I became like a little sarky fuck. Your yawns are killing me.
It's because I'm trying not to let one out. Maybe if I let one out.
Give it a yawn. Mouth wide, commit.
Next one, I'll just let it happen.
That's a horrible sentence to have said out loud. Mouth wide and commit.
That's my personality.
There's Cleo somewhere shouting, tightly sex tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember going to English and everyone's he's giving out marks for essays. Was it that way around or was he collecting the essays? Don't care. Either way, and he's like, Callum, where's your essay? And I think he was called Steve. No, Mr. Owen.
Steve.
I knew his first name at the time.
Steve Owen? Steve Owen?
He wasn't called Steve. And not, shut up. I was like, whatever his name was, but I'll say Mr. Owen. I was like, mate, I gave it to you yesterday. We talked about this. I gave it to you yesterday.
You have told me
You
this.
sat with me and we spoke about it briefly. It was like a 10-minute chat and he was like, and he hesitated for long enough for me to be like, oh, I've got you. And I was like, yeah, we absolutely did. And he was like, okay, I'll find that. It's fine. And I was like, oh, good, but just let me know if there's a problem because I hand wrote that. And he's like, no, all good. And then the next week,
manipulative piece of shit.
the next week he was like, Callum, I haven't found your essay. And I was like, I'm right.
Distress.
What? Do I have to do it again?
I
That took
worked
me
so hard.
hours. And he was like, no, it's fine. I remember we spoke about it and your work was very good. So I can grade you as an A.
What?
But I shit you not.
Oh my God.
But I will need you to just discuss some bits with me. I was like, that's absolutely fine. And like, I forgive you. It happens.
Why do I feel stressed hearing this story?
You know how I was on the phone the other day?
It makes me
That's how you were stressed then too.
It makes me so uncomfortable.
We're talking about me being on the phone the other day. That's just who I am. But yeah, so I was a bit of a shit in school. Didn't have to turn up to my degree to do my degree.
Yeah.
I just retained knowledge really well.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on a bit. So.
Oh, you're bored of me bragging. All right.
Yeah.
He seems happy.
Again, we know you're a coach now, but also we know one of the really beneficial things to your coaching is your master's in sports injury rehab.
Yeah.
So how do you go from doing psychology and criminology, like in a gym, thinking, I kind of want to go down that route, to then getting your master's and becoming a coach?
You get towards your third year of uni, you get bored of uni, you look at the stuff that's within fitness, you pass the level 2 and level 3 qualification in a weekend because it's too easy, and you go, I don't know how to get good at this, what do I want to work with? Now, I didn't pick the Masters of Injury Rehab thinking it'll make me a better coach. That wasn't the goal.
No.
I knew I still wanted to help people, and fitness had become really good, and there's a bit of me that always puts stuff together really quickly and would be like, that makes sense. I can figure out how that works. And when I figured out anatomy, I'd get injuries from the training and I fixed it quicker by just knowing enough. So I looked at like different degrees that maybe would take me the right way. And then I got this idea of the Invictus Games, being like, what if I could work with them?
What are the Invictus Games, in case anyone doesn't know?
It's like the Olympics of veterans, people who have been injured, and it started with looking at Headley Court. Headley Court was like the centre for rehabilitation, and it was amputees and all these incredible people, and I wanted to work there. And I can't remember exactly the bit that got me to that, but I got there.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I want to do that. So I found a degree, which was at Middlesex in London. And I was like, I'm going to do that degree. And on the thing it says you need a degree in S&C, or you need a degree in physio, you need a degree in rehab, whatever already. And I was like, psychology sounds close to that. So I emailed and said, I'd like to do the degree. And they went, reading's hard. That's not what it fucking says. You can't come here. And I was like, cool, I want to come here. And I can do the course. I already have my outside field. I've got more knowledge. They said no a few times. And I was like, what? How do I prove that I'm more capable than anyone you're taking on? My emails were probably verging on arrogant because I was very scared they'd say no, and then I was fucked. But I was like, I know whatever I need to know. I've covered it in my own study. And they were like, well, there's a course you can do with BASRAT, British Academy of Sport Rehabilitation and Therapy.
Yeah.
Fucking ulcers, man, I'm making that so hard to say.
I can't even help you out because I don't know the names of the
Do
things.
I sound like I'm mumbling as much as I feel?
You mumble all the time, I wouldn't worry.
You're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Anyway, so they tell me there's this entry qualification you can do, and it's a week of exams
Yes.
every day, back to back, which is the equivalent of the end of a degree exam. So assuming you've done 3 years, you do that exam because you will know everything from 3 years study.
Yeah.
I just finished a psychology degree and I've been on YouTube a bit. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Like, I'll pass, not a problem. And then I had the worst couple of weeks of my life.
Tell me about those weeks.
I will genuinely probably cry while I tell you this because it was just, it was so hard. God, it doesn't.
Go on.
See tears in my eyes.
Who wants to see Callum cry?
You're a piece of shit.
Let's go.
So they say you can come in, and I go to Middlesex. My parents go in with me to rent a hotel for the 10 days.
Even that in itself is a big commitment, right?
Yeah, it's fine, a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm certain I can do it. And then it comes to the 10 days, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I will fail. And we go to the day one, and they're like, right, module 1 is on biomechanics. Obviously that you would have studied this, and this, these planes of motion. I know zero. I mean fucking zero of this. Module 2 is on pathology. So these different systems, how these cells work, how osteoclasts, osteoblasts run the healing system, all about collagen. This will be in all of your pathology, all these different illnesses and ailments. The next one is going to be on your S&C based work. So this will be, when they're saying these exams, this exam is on minimum 6 months knowledge to a year.
Right.
And you're going to have
each module.
For each module each day. And I think it was, so it's pathology, biomechanics, like S&C, rehab exercises, and something else. I can't remember the other one. Oh, it was statistics and like doing the actual measuring of data to go do this rehab degree. So day 1, panicked, and was like, I have 9 days. So I decided I wouldn't sleep. I was like, you've got 9 days to do this.
just my sleep.
Well, I was just like, logically, there is not enough time in the day.
So logical.
Well, because I was getting up, so the initial plan was get up at 5, go to uni, be at the uni, lecture starts at 8, so that gives me 3 hours. So I can get there in 20 minutes. That gives me 2 hours 40 to study. Then I'm going to be in lecture from covering the topic, just to make sure it's a debrief of the topic from 8 till like midday, and then midday till 5 you're studying, and then go home. And so I would not have enough time, like, because you get home at 5 and I'd study till 2 in the morning, and then be like, well, I've got to be up in 3 hours, so I'd have like an hour and a half, 2 hours sleep, and then I'd go, oh, it was so bad. It was so hard. So I did it every day. I didn't eat properly. I just, like, as I walk past the shop, I buy a thing of Pringles or 2 things of Pringles. That's it. Like, that's all you're getting. You do not have time. Like, I would jog back from the thing. I'm genuinely going to cry. Oh, it was so bad.
It sounds pretty miserable.
And bear in mind, like, I didn't sleep for the full week. So
that's
like,
going to fuck you over, just...
Yeah. And I think genuinely makes me cry because it's like the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
It was so hard.
Do you know, was there anyone else doing those exams
No.
who had done it in the same way that you had?
So there were 12 people on my course, and every one of them came from a relevant degree.
Right.
What and they were struggling.
What on earth made you think you could do that?
I didn't. I just was like, if you want it enough, if you actually think you can do it, because I was talking like, I want this career, and so it was like, if you're going to do it, do the thing. So I just decided.
Was there no part of you that thought, okay, maybe I just need to do another relevant degree?
I'd lose 3 years, and I was like, I can't lose time. Bear in mind, there's another bit which would also make me cry. But so anyway, I do the week of study, and then on the Thursday night, my girlfriend at the time, and Holly, and as I know I've told you before, wonderful human being, comes down, takes me to Fernando's, and I just cry for like the whole meal. Where I'm like, I'm so broken, and I've not eaten food in like 8 days. Oh, fucking my podcast, and I'm the first one to cry?
Yay!
This is bullshit. Oh no, Rachel did, for sure.
Oh yeah. Just quickly, when you're doing these modules, are you finding out, how long are you waiting for results? Do you know? Or are you just like, I'm just going to have to do all of them and hope that I pass?
So I do the meal, and then the Friday they give you results.
So you do all of them?
You have to do everything first.
Before you get any results?
So as far as I'm concerned, I'm failing.
So even if you'd failed the first one, you would have done the whole week?
Yeah.
And, yeah, okay.
And then on Friday, they bring you in to talk through results and what happens next. And I got 96%.
What the fuck?
And I got the highest grade in the class. Out of everyone who had done their degrees.
I would be so mad if I was one of the other people.
Fucking outwork me, man.
And this is something that I'm sure probably people would say, that sort of attitude or that commitment to just doing the thing is something that you still have today.
Yeah.
And is probably the reason for your multiple successes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pass all these exams.
Only because you're going to regret not asking. I know where that comes from. James.
Yes, I do have James written down.
Fuck you.
Okay, yeah. Not something you were born with, that sort of attitude and mentality and
not even
drive. So I know it comes from James, but tell us who James is and the impact that James had on your life and continues to have.
It's going to be so hard.
You're going to cry again?
Yeah.
I might cry too.
I don't mind the crying. I mind that I can't talk. It makes for terrible episodes. Okay, so James was my cousin. I grew up with James. We were not like best pals. I don't want to paint some bullshit picture like we always loved each other.
I loved him.
It was a piece of shit.
Best friend.
He hated me. Like, and we got along and we were family. We grew up together, and as he got older, he was like, you get to that point like he's a good lad. Like he's going to be really good. He was smart. Fuck, he was smart. And he was a little shit, but he was very smart. And like, I mean, he'd be a doctor. 100% he'd be a doctor now, and that's where he was going. And then it must be before uni. Oh God, that's what led to some of the eating disorders. I forgot about that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. James got hit by a car, kind of. Doesn't matter. And he went into a coma for a bit, and I didn't go see him, and I will regret it till the day I die. And he...
I'm going to let you say it.
Okay, give a sec. I'll be there. He died at the end of that week.
How old was he?
16.
And how old were you?
17. And I don't know why, but I like absolutely consumed this idea that it was my responsibility. And I remember...
Not that he died.
Not that he died, but like, I felt such a burden of like what I should do with my life because of it. Like I had wasted so many years, and I refused to do more of that. And so like it led to this like, you don't have the right to not try harder. Like, so when it was, and it's just the way I feel now of like this, if you have the ability, you have the responsibility. Like that's been my thing for a while. Hillary doesn't love it.
I don't love it.
No, but it was like, if you can, like, you're absolutely responsible to live that out. Like, it's just, you don't get to throw that away. Like, he would give anything to be here. I would give anything to swap. I would still give that to him.
Yeah.
And I remember, and the reason I picked up my phone was because I messaged him after he died. Want a rough chat? Let's see how this goes. There he is. So I sent him, I've messaged him quite a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus, a
the
lot.
The poor fucker who's got his phone number now.
They must be well concerned and freaked out. And all the messages for the first like 6 months were me begging to swap places. I'm not going to read these out. But...
You felt a responsibility that for the life that was lost, you had to live it.
Yeah, like I had to... So I wrote down this thing, 2 lives. It was always 2 lives. It was like you have... I don't care about everyone else's excuses. You can do more. Like you can do 2 lives worth of work. So that was it. So relentless attitude to everything.
And that really was a big driving force behind why you did that.
Everything. That's why I did everything. And it wasn't a case of like, do something a little. It was like, do it, finish it, do the next thing, finish it. Do them at the same time, finish it. Like, didn't matter. That's why I didn't mind getting ill, getting hurt, didn't matter. I'd get it done. That'll be the last time I cry on this fucking podcast.
That's a big responsibility to take on at 17.
Yeah.
Really big.
Still sucks at 30.
Yeah. I can see it.
13 years of this. It's still pretty fucking rough.
Pretty hard. Okay, so you've passed the BASRAC course.
Yeah.
Now what?
Do a degree.
Yeah. In sports injury rehab?
In sports injury rehab.
Yeah.
And something, I can't remember.
Are you working whilst you're doing the degree?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So hold on. So let's do a typical day. Now I'm commuting because I can't afford to live in London. And I can't leave at 6 or 7 because the traffic on the M25 at that time is standstill. If you leave at 7, you get there at 9:30. I need to be there by 8:30.
Right.
So leave at 5, which means up at 4. So up at 4, out at 5, drive there. Well, I'm going to get there at 6 because there's no traffic. So the fucking issue is you leave early, get early, leave late, get very late. I'm like, so there's no in between. So I'd get there at 6, I'd study till 8, 8 till break, so 8 till 12, first lot of lectures, 12 till 1, I run the lunchtime injury clinic. So I didn't do lunches for a while, I'd eat in lecture if I could at all. And then,
At this point, are you still struggling with eating disorders?
No, they're long gone.
Okay.
Just stopped. Like, I needed food.
Completely?
Oh, and I was competing still. So, yeah, no break. Then 1 till 5 would do the rest of lectures. 5 till 6 was time to go train or eat. Not both.
What shall I do today?
And then because 6 till 9? 6 till 9, I ran the Women's Saracens training or Horsham. So either I'd still be in London, 6 till 9. At 9 o'clock, then I can come back after their training. And then I go home and then I do my homework and study and coursework. And then I get up again at 4.
So even at that point, you were doing more than what most people do in a day?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when people
day.
ask you, how do you do so much in a day?
Well, use your fucking hours, you lazy bastard. And the weekends I was running injury and trauma care for rugby games because I needed 400 clinical hours to be able to pass the exam.
Yeah.
So
how does that lead into ending up coaching in strength coaching?
I was really good at it.
Yeah?
So all the stuff that was S&C based, turns out their degree that they did for 3 years, I can do it in a couple of weeks. And then I was teaching them.
All right, humble brag.
Nope, not at all, not humble. It's a waste of a degree. It's not true, take the piss. But I was working with them and then quickly learnt it enough that I was like, well, this is quite easy. And then I was still training and competing and people were like, can you help me with my training?
I was going to say, was it a conscious
building
choice? Was it a conscious choice to become a coach, or were you just an
just
athlete
asked.
competing, getting well known as an athlete, and then people being like, hey, can you help me out?
I was getting asked for help a lot.
Okay.
And then more people, and I was like, I have so little time that I have to charge you for my time at a point, because I had like a dozen people who I was helping, and I was like, I'm gonna charge you 20 quid.
Some coaches these days still only have a dozen clients.
That's because they're bad at it.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I charged them about 20 quid. Oh, I got cancelled. But yeah, so I charged them about 20 quid for coaching. Eventually, I think it became 60, and that was a lot for me. Because they were all trying to get into powerlifting. And I was doing that on the side, on top of the other jobs, and still replying faster than most coaches.
Yeah. So how does it go from I'm charging a dozen people 20 to 60 quid to having what at the time was the biggest strength coaching brand in the UK?
So the degree was wrapping up and managed it the whole way through, and then I did my dissertation, and then it was the end of the degree was horrific, but it doesn't matter. I finished the degree, and then it was like Headley Court's closing.
Oh.
And I was like,
but I just worked for all of this.
You have no idea how devastated I was.
Oh,
like, that was the dream, and I was like, I had committed everything to get there, and then they closed Headley Court, and I was like, this coaching thing's going okay, and I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to do it. Like, double down. Like, how much can you do? So, brand it, has a name. What you're going to do with it, be creative about it, get these people together, take them to competitions, be there with them in coaching, like everything. And it just grew. Like, not because I was good at marketing, which is still a thing of like, I don't like marketing, I like coaching, and I'm fucking good at it. Was how I felt at the time. Like, I would, if I didn't know, I'd find out, and I would just put the time in. So it just grew by word of mouth. It became, and At that point, there weren't loads of powerlifting coaches around as well. Not by the same scale there are now. Every Tom, Dick and fucking Harry is a coach now. But back then...
I have spaces.
Everyone's got fucking spaces. 3 spaces available. There have been for 3 months, mate. Shut the fuck up. Couldn't give away for free. Yeah, so I grew into it and I was like, I'm good at this. People are getting better. I actually enjoy this. Psychology is helping. Yeah. The rehab degree is helping. Like everything I've got is helping. I've just got a couple of people, mum and dad, being like, you should quit this and do a real job.
You
and I'm
should
like,
being a lawyer?
Well, they were like, how much are you charging? I'm like, £60. And they're like, that's not a lot of money for a lot of time. And I was like, I know, it's a shit model. And in the UK, loads of clients at that point is 20 people. And I'm like, well, let's do the math. That's £1,200 a month. That's minimum wage.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to figure out how to turn it into a business.
How did you figure it out?
I just kept working.
You didn't figure it out?
Well, I did. Like, it was... The benefit of people in fitness is they got to fitness because it's the only place a lot of them, they were good at being. So a lot of them came as being an athlete or being strong. They didn't come from being fucking business smart. Which is why it's really easy to be a better business, of being like, if you've just got a brain about you, make a better system, be consistent with your posting, find your market audience, make sure that you're actually appealing to them. Like, be creative with what makes you an interesting brand, because most people don't even have an ethos, a value, or fucking 2 IQ points between their ears to rub together. Like, it was so dull.
Again, it sounds very logical. As we've said, you're a logical person.
It just made sense, but like, I didn't just draw from fitness. It was like, what's the rest of the world doing? What's weightlifting doing? What's the American culture doing?
Yeah,
and
which I guess is the thing that no one else was doing.
They were
just
going to a gym and trying to get some clients, or just DMing people, being like, you need to work with me.
Do you think, in a sense, that you were just lucky that you had the scope to think about those things, or do you think there's something inherently within you?
I've debated the logic of a sentence before. Are you lucky for being smart?
Ooh.
Because my point was like, and if it sounds arrogant, call yourself smart. Jesus Christ, people set higher standards. But I was a smart kid, and I was just like, this is really simple if you're being sensible about it.
And I would say it'd be fair to say that you are a good problem solver. And just by that nature, when you're thinking about, right, well, here is the problem, what's the solution? How do I make this bigger? How do I make this sustainable?
And at that point, I had been the athlete, and I was being the athlete. So I was like, I know what coaching would have fucking helped me. Yeah. So I was aware of what existed in the absence of it, just fill that gap. Yeah. And then the rest of the business bit always made sense.
So at what point were you like, oh, this is good?
Time frames are hard. I started getting people wanting to work with me, sponsor me. Yeah. Athletes turning up, not just Tom, Dick and Harry from the gyms. Yeah.
Who was your first, exciting athlete to work with? Who was the first person who approached you and you were like, yes, I want to coach you? Or, shit, I'm scared to coach you.
You know, the first time I think I was aware I was becoming a coach and not just building because of an athlete. So talk federations. I was building in the BDFPA because I'd been prevalent there. Yeah. Like, I was this guy turns up and wins, end of person. So I was getting clients in there, but that's not because you're a good coach. And I hated that. Yeah. The first client was Kate Matthews, who was my first BP lifter. Right. Because she'd come from a different fed to me. So she wasn't impressed by my lifting. Around. Yeah. She was impressed by my coaching. Yeah. And Kate's a lovely woman, no disrespect to her. I wasn't threatened by it. I was like, cool, another lifter. But I remember me being like, new federation, that's cool. And that's actually part of where my disdain for just federations came from, of being like, oh, I don't give a fuck about this. Because there was, early on, she was like, well, I know you're this fed. And I was like, I'm not with the fed. I just competed there.
They don't own me.
It was really weird, and that culture shocked me early on, because I didn't know there were multiple feds in the early days. Right. And then I competed for a while, and it turns out there are multiple feds only because assholes in other feds want you to know that you can only beat them in their fed. Yeah. Even if you out-total them by 60 kilos in any fucking fed. Yeah. I hated it. So she was probably the first one where I was like, oh, I'm a coach. Yeah,
I'm being recognised as a coach, not just...
Because I'll say now, if you're a coach but all your lifters are your gym mates, you're not a coach. Yeah. You're just a person in a gym who knows better than those dickheads. Yeah. I swear a lot.
Oh, we already know that.
I'm also going to sneeze soon, so when that happens, this mic is going to blow up.
Oh,
no. It might not come.
So... Obviously, I know when you started out coaching, you had a couple of different brand names and stuff like that, but the one that people would have known you for
But none of them will now. All you fuckers are new. CJB Strong.
Yeah.
CJB Strong.
Tell me about...
Named by Sarah. Not that Sarah, different Sarah.
I love it because it's like CJ.
Be strong. Yeah. That's why she named it. I'd try to look at a lot of names. I didn't want my name in it. I didn't want Callum in it. Everyone was like, fucking Callum Fitness. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're bright. I found those really dull.
I really hate Instagram names that just say something fit.
It would just be like, literally, it was just fitness or lifting or powerlifting. I was just like, that's not very interesting. And then I found CJB Strong, market changer. It wasn't very bright either, but it sounded good.
Yeah, and it was really well known.
And it looked good. It built up really fast, and it was a brand name. It wasn't a me name, it was a brand name.
Yes, it would, like, definitely from what I've seen, obviously I was only introduced to it in the latter part of it, but...
the latter? Mate, the fucking end.
It was very much a brand, a company, a group, not just you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me, like, at its biggest, what was it client-wise and coach-wise?
At that point, it was 100 members.
Which would have been probably
at that time the biggest brand. Yeah, definitely.
Like everyone in powerlifting knew.
Yeah, in the UK, it was very well known.
Yeah.
So we were running the biggest events. We were running like collaboration projects, doing like crazy shit, hiring a videographer, being one of the first brands to like get a videographer on board within the brand, being one of the first ones to do the athlete thing.
Like everything, all the things that everyone does now, but you kind of led the way for all of that.
With a lot of it in the early days, we were definitely, I don't give a fuck, we were definitely the first brand doing a lot of it.
Yeah. Who's we?
So it was me at first, and then James Farrow worked for me for a bit.
Yeah.
He was fucking shit. He knows
he knows it.
He's a very good lad and we're still mates. But
so you said goodbye to him.
Well, he was on for a while. Eventually I let him go just before COVID.
Right.
And then it was Shah, who I brought on, who had been my client, and she'd gone from an absolute piss poor lifter to making huge progress. And she had a real passion for it, so I brought her on. And then there was Jacob, who, when I got into BP, had become a mate, and he was helping with like the ideas and like what can we do that's unique, who should we collaborate with, what direction should we go. He was helping with that, and he was working with one of the unis. And then there was Josh Woods, who is at Underground now, who came on as like a uni coach. So I had this idea of, what if I assign coaches to universities and I coach them through that? Huge game changer in the UK. They all now fucking do that, by the way.
Yeah.
But it was a big thing. Anyway, so yeah, they all came on board. I had Adam, who was my editor and videographer, as an ambassador.
Yeah.
I started the ambassador thing of like having ambassadors, so they would be like coached for free, but they would do certain roles to help the business. So they were we. They were you. And there's a reason why I don't get excited at many of those names. Didn't go well. So why is CJB no more? How do you answer this? Because they set it on fire. No, they set me on fire. Okay, let's do this succinctly, but also accurately.
Yeah.
Okay, so end of COVID is coming around. One of those coaches, I
can feel my heart rate elevating.
It's fine. One of those coaches is doing a very bad job, and I'm getting some very bad feedback. No replies, talking shit about her own clients. Some substantial problems, as one of our friends will talk about being hit on and getting some very bad relationship issues going on. So anyway, I was like, we need to talk, like, this probably isn't going to work out. But that happens towards the end of COVID. Got through COVID amazingly. We'd reputationally done phenomenally. And then
because you were doing things like sorting out kit for clients.
Yeah, we were driving all around delivering kit to people and stuff. It's fucking cool. Anyway, so and then I tried to let her go, and we were going to have a chat. And then for like a week, when I've just met you, I keep saying to you, like, she's not replying. She's being really weird.
And I had met her around that time and stayed in her home with you, because you lived together during lockdown.
Yeah, I moved there so we could run the business. And we had kit, so it was fucking great.
I remember you would she'd be really weird or rude, and I'd be like, it's okay. Like, I don't know what's going on, it's okay. And you'd be like, no, this is not okay. And I was like, it fucking wasn't okay. But me being like the new person on the scene.
But yeah, so anyway, so a week past, she's barely replying, and then she's like, something's coming, and I think you need to prepare for that. And I was like, what the fuck are you
does that
talking
mean?
about? Like, this is weird. A long version, becoming short, is she's made a group chat with a few people who don't want to see me do very well. One of them is like an ex thing, who had been coached by James Farrow. And one of them is someone I've never met, but had messaged during lockdown. Anyway, they've made this chat, and they've planned specifically what they'll say and publicise. I didn't know this at the time, because I remember saying to you, like, this is getting fucking weird. Yeah. And then people started popping up on your story who shouldn't know you existed.
Oh, and you didn't even know that they were popping up, because I didn't know who they were, so I never mentioned it.
No, and then at one point I was just like, sorry, how do you know that name? And you were like, on my story. And I was like,
yeah, they're on my stories all the time.
How the fuck do they know you exist? Anyway, so this thing, which sounds mental.
Because it is.
It was.
You're laughing.
I am, but I have so much trauma.
Yeah.
So anyway, they begin. And turns out there's a whole group chat, which eventually falls apart because they fall out with each other, which is hysterical. But they just start posting things, these incredible claims, in a time where I'm at my highest in the industry, and no one likes seeing someone fall.
Golden boy.
Yeah,
like
seeing me fall is a wonderful sight. So they post. So the first, I can't remember who the first one was. I do know who it was. I won't use her name. No. So she posts something publicly, and I was about having been coached by me and having had a relationship and how I'd manipulated that. And I was like, has anyone checked the fact that I've never coached her? Like, she'd been coached by someone else, nothing to do with me. Very, very known, not coached by me, but no one gives a fuck. Everyone goes mad. Mm-hmm. The next day, where already everything's on fire, and I'm talking to Jacob on the phone being like, dude, what the fuck's going on? Next day, another one being like, he has used coaching with me. I was like, I've never met this bitch. And I know it's a horrible word to use, but in this context, being like, I flat out never fucking met this person. And immediately I go, so I try and call her. And in those 2 days, contacted every single one of my clients and been like, Callum's not coaching anymore. He's going away for a while. You can work with me, but it's over. Which was like... But also, I didn't find that out till after this was happening. So anyway, this domino effect of being like, what the fuck is going on? No one's replying to me. No one's talking to me. I'm being cut out of things quickly. Yeah. But because everyone's been contacting everyone around me and being like, don't talk to him right now. You don't want to get sucked into this. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Anyway, so it goes on for 5 days initially. I can't remember who the last person was, but it was that, I know I do, because it was that day I was like, something's going to happen in the morning, it's going to happen again. And it did, by someone again who I had never worked with. And my ex. And my ex who I actually did, who I won't comment on. Anyway, so all these things happen. And as you can imagine, the brand's gone overnight. Like, 4 days in, I don't seem as traumatized as I should, but I remember it very, very well. But it was basically a very well planned out smear campaign where people were very ready to go, hang on a second, here's a person we've put in the spotlight who we've entrusted. It's all a lie. And and they make an example out of you. Which I can understand the logic of. The cruelty of it was pretty horrific. It was. And it's something that we later found out there is a name for, and it is now much more well known. I was cancelled. Cancel culture. So within this, it's also worth saying that, so I was like, this is defamation, this is illegal, I'm going to the fucking police. So I went to a lawyer and she was like, do not get involved. Just stay quiet. Do not comment, say nothing, leave it alone. And I'm just like, are you sure? Because my life is gone. Like, I have a 6-figure company. I have the biggest brand in the UK. I have a reputation. I love my life. I remember thinking it. And I lost everything in 4 days. Everyone suddenly cut you off. Yeah, part of cancel culture is that the idea is you remove the person from having a voice. Yeah. So no one could talk to me anymore. And no one did. Where people would message other people saying, do not talk to them. Do not associate. You have to unfollow them right now. Otherwise, we're going to do the same to you. Yeah. So as you can imagine, I wasn't doing too well. My lawyer was like following it up, and it was slow. It was very, really slow. Do you regret not saying anything? Yeah, so much. I regret it in the sense of like, now I know I should have, but I didn't know at the time. No. My lawyer is saying like, don't involve with social media because they'll go further. Yeah. And she wasn't wrong. It would have been worse because people bite back at a response. But I would have been immediately able to prove what nonsense a lot of it was, and I didn't. And obviously I fucking regret the timing.
I mean, for people to have wanted to hurt you, I think it's fair to say you must have upset a few people in your time.
Oh yeah, I went out of my way. Well, I was outspoken on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I would actively argue with people, being like, that's nonsense, you're putting out shit information. Because I've been in the sport for ages, and then these people would pop up acting like they've been there for decades.
Yeah.
Every fucker was saying, like, oh, I've been here 10 years coaching experience. I was like, you were a PT for 8 years. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely don't know. And then they'll post things, or they'll post fucking Herbalife. And I would act publicly, be like, you're full of shit.
But what about the coach who was the ringmaster, I'd call it, and the girls? What would have motivated them to have wanted to say these things about you?
The coach was about to be quit from the thing and have her reputation destroyed.
Yes.
Not because I would have publicly been like, fuck this person.
No, just by proxy of they're no longer working with the brand. That would have been hugely damaging.
And she was very ready to be, what do you call it? Like, turned into this
the hero.
Yeah. And wanted to just put herself in the best situation, which is just clever. The girls, well, 2 of them I had dated, and I'd flat out said, I'm not interested, and hadn't been, like, I wouldn't say I'd been horrible to, but I hadn't been nice to, and being like, no, I'm not interested, I don't care. Like, stop, like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
One of them...
Which is going to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, but also,
you have every right to say.
I was being fucking sexually harassed by one of them, and I was like, you can call it a fucking day, mate. Like, this is mental. I remember talking to you about that before, and being like, before all of that happened, being like, just not fucking stopping. And it was very transparent, like, here's what's going on, send help. But no, I hadn't been nice about it, like, and I'm very aware, but at that point, during COVID, I'd been very clear with people, like, not trying to get into a relationship, not just for chat, have a bit of fun, cool.
Which, by the way, every single human has the right to do, like, your personal life.
But I want to clarify,
that.
It didn't have anything to do with my career.
No.
And that's why when it all kicked off, I was like, what the fuck is it? This is just using something to pretend there's a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that happened. And then, well, I tried to kill myself a little bit.
Yes.
I was on suicide watch.
Yeah.
Well, because as you can imagine.
I'll give a little bit of my perspective on it, just for a little bit more context, and then you can add to it. But we'd known each other for a couple of months at that point.
Yeah.
So when I saw it all, I already knew some of the backstory of who some of them were, because, you know, they just came up in conversation. I saw the things that were being said about you, and I was seeing things that weren't adding up. Very specific claims. And I'm like, if you're lying about that, which I know you are, what else are you lying about?
Things like where I've been, and you were like, I was literally with him.
He was not there.
He was not 4 hours up the country.
Yeah.
I was there that day.
Nothing was adding up, and the coach, the coach, everyone fucking knows who it is.
If they
their
don't,
behaviour was so obscene and so weird. Nothing made sense. Nothing made sense. And I knew immediately, like, there was no doubt in my mind that this was all bullshit. There's never been a part of me that's gone, oh, well, maybe that could be true.
Well, because
maybe
also,
I should...
it's worth it. Again, I don't want this to be the only topic, because this isn't a kind of...
we'll get to that. Okay, but I think a lot of people want to know about this.
Well, it's very boring. But because also it's worth saying, like, if you'd ever not been sure, then it got investigated by the police.
Yeah.
Because it turns out you can't make these obscene claims without the police being like, well, they're pretty big claims.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know them all at the time, because I was only aware of some things, but word of mouth, people just saying whatever they wanted and making
so many weird, the dog thing.
The dog thing was fucking crazy. About how I'd forced someone to go to the gym when the day
their dog died.
When the day their dog had died, and being like, oh, we found the chats. You literally didn't tell me the dog was dead, but whatever. And the chat was
just
anyway.
People
it doesn't matter.
Onto anything.
But they were just like throwing crazy shit out, and they just. But yeah, so the police investigated it, which was a whole thing.
Yeah.
And it went on for 6 months.
So, before the day that the police knocked on the door, what had that been like? Because, like you said, I had never seen anything like it before in my life. I had never seen. And I kind of half-heartedly joked in my episode on the podcast about there being a turning point in my life where I changed as a person for the worse. And it was when I saw how disgusting people could be to another human being.
I think it was the day that because I don't know how far into it must have been a couple of weeks, and like I've been on suicide watch because like
at this point, for context, you've lost your entire business.
I can probably do that bit. But I was a couple of weeks into, like, I'd lost everything I'd spent all that time working for. So, like, I've done that degree for it. I've done working 20 years at that point. The business is, like, near 10 years old. I've worked for every single person, every hour under the sun. I've gone above and beyond. Like, I didn't build a business off of being a bad coach. I built it off being a fucking good coach. And I gave everything to it. Through COVID, I worked harder than I've ever worked in my life to try to make sure that everyone was looked after, and like phone calls with people to make sure. And then it all went, and all these people I'd looked after just disappeared. So I lost my mind a bit, like, because like, what was the point? Like, you can't have worked that hard for something and it meant that much and it just be gone.
Yeah.
And I just remember trying to come to terms with it being gone and being like, I have nothing. Like, not in a fucking, oh, I've got nothing. We actually got loads. Well, I had no friends left. I had no business. Every client who was like my closest mate was willing to just block me and disappear, never talk to me again. And I couldn't get my head around it. So I think it was like a week and a half in.
Tell me about the darkest day, because I think I know which one it will be.
Well, I don't know. That was the scariest day. But the darkest day was the one where I tried to kill myself. The day you mean was day 4, I think, or maybe it's day 5, where I'd said to you like something's going to happen the next day, and then it did, because it was getting really predictable. And I remember I was in bed and it happened again, and I read it because it's fucking tagged in it. And I was just sitting in bed and just being like, oh no, I am done. Like, I'm done. Not done as in like, oh my god, it's gone, as in like I'm giving up. Like, and not in a way that people will understand unless you've ever been there. You won't know that feeling of like. And then we were supposed to be going to Manchester because you had a thing, and I was supposed to be staying with a mate because I wasn't allowed to be left alone.
Yeah, no, I had to go to Manchester for a friend's birthday and I couldn't let it down. And you, at this point, there was absolutely no way that you could be left on your own because you would have killed yourself.
Well, I'll give it a good fucking shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were supposed to go down to the car. I couldn't get up, so you helped me up. I couldn't do stairs, you walked me down the stairs. I couldn't do my own fucking shoes, you did my shoes. And then sat me in the car, and for about 3 hours I didn't talk, while like all I could hear was like screaming in my head and like begging to die. And then, yeah, about 4 hours passed with like not being able to talk. Your turn.
My turn to cry.
And then like, I think I just managed to root myself in the moment, being like, this is hard for them, it's fine. Like,
it was my sister and myself in the car.
Yeah. And so I was like, hey, how are you?
We were like,
both like, oh my god, it's talking.
What the fuck? We didn't know what to do with that.
But I was past broken.
I literally trying to get you out of bed, and you would try to speak and you just couldn't.
Yeah, that was a bad day.
That was a bad day. So anyway, I'll take you up to James.
So you take me to James.
I go, James, can you babysit him?
And James is
I've got a party to go to.
Bastard. And I send you on a night out because I'm like, look, I promised you a relationship with someone who had their life together, and I've got nothing, and I'm trying to kill myself. So you probably want to go fucking go for a drink. And I'd told you to leave quite a few times and been like, you don't want to be part of this. This is not going to be fun for you. But I think I don't know if we'd said we were in love with each other by this point. Said in France, just before.
I can't remember the order.
Yeah, it was in France because I told you in France, and life was good then.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that happened.
But there was something that James said that you now in hindsight hate, but it worked.
It didn't work.
Okay.
And I resent that he suggests this worked, but he said, why don't you just do it again? And I was like, right, you fucking idiot. I love James, and if he listens to this, I do still think you're a dick. But he said, just do it again. And I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? I've been called everything under the sun by everyone in here. And he was like, yeah, but it's not true, so just do it again. The simplicity of a moron is a beautiful thing.
I'd love for it to have been as simple as that.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
No,
like,
well.
the problem was I was still good at coaching, but I also had nothing.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to you, I know I can, I just don't want it. Why the fuck do I want to help people again?
Why should I have to?
For the first time in 20 years of that, we met at 27, 28? 27?
Yeah, 27.
I met in 27 years of helping people. For the first time I went, I hate everyone. I wanted to kill people. I was out of my mind and I just tried to kill myself. I wasn't in the best fucking mindset. And it was like, I don't want to do this again. Why would you want to do it again? And then like 6 months of fucking police shit to have the police finally confirm, oh yeah, it's not true, sorry about that. And I'm like, you want to go after anyone? Anyway, we're going to move past that. So during that time, it's me, so I worked. So I was like, what can I do? Well,
did you have any clients?
No, everyone. Legia. I had Legia.
But you didn't know because she hadn't checked in.
She didn't check in. That was actually really rude. She checked in like after 2 weeks, being like, "Hey, I know you're like dead, but I need a program," which is a fair point. So yeah, she was my only client out of 100, the biggest brand in the UK down to 1, and we were not publicly talking about the fact I was helping because no one wanted my fucking name around.
Yeah.
And then time started to pass. And still, like, it took about 2.5 years for people to leave me alone. They're still doing it now.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I've got a fucking harassment case against one of them currently, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I had 2.5 years of that. But I was just like, I can't do nothing. I'm good at this. But
I remember you didn't think that you would coach again. You had Legia.
I was convinced
and you were
I could
like,
never coach again.
Kind of almost felt like an obligation to continue helping her. But then, who's your next client after that? Alice. And at this point,
because I knew of Thrive, and you'd brought me on as a consultant, being like, "Well, you fucking know your shit, and we could do it with the hand anyway." And you're not very busy right now. Yeah, you're pretty bored. So do you want to come help out? So I helped out, and then we bring on this PT, and it's actually making me cry again. She is blown away by knowledge. She's like, well, you know, all this stuff, this is crazy, I can learn so much. She's just passed her PT course, don't know a fucking sock from her foot. And she's still figuring everything out. And I'm like, well, I've got a lot of time, let me teach you. So I taught her as much as I could, and she was like, because you coached me. And it meant so much that like anyone just wanted to be around me again.
Yeah.
Because that was so hard to be so lonely again after like just not being for the first time. So I started helping her, and I told her everything.
Yeah.
And she saw some of it firsthand, being like, this is insane, what is happening? And like it just started. I called it something because I was bored, and I designed a brand name, designed Dedicated by Design, off the back of like, you can talk about discipline and motivation, but whatever the fuck it is in me is a dedication to something.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wanted that to be the root. Like, if something has value, you pursue it no matter what. I don't give a fuck about your discipline. I don't care about your motivation. Is it who you are? And this was always who I was.
So when does it start taking off, or when does it start becoming more than just a couple of people?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
It's really blurry. Like, the years that followed building DVD has been crazy. Because I just had this like, well, I know how to do it now.
Yeah.
Like I know what works.
I remember as well for still quite a long time.
But they were also trying to stop me.
Oh yeah, and still for quite a long time, you were like, I don't know if I want to.
Because it's kind of hard to want to do the thing that people tried to kill you over.
Lived your entire life in service of other people. You've then seen what those people were willing to do to you.
It was very hard to trust. I still have an issue with this of like, name your best friend. Oh God, that's dangerous, isn't it? Okay, so it's Alice. Do you trust her?
Absolutely.
Because she's so close to you and she cares so much. I had that, and they tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So it's
literally
so hard.
told you to.
Yeah, they told me to kill myself publicly quite a lot. It's very hard to trust people after that, but I choose to. So I choose to believe that the people I work with respect the work that I do.
Yeah.
And I choose to believe that this time round, like, even if fucking any of it had been true.
Yeah.
Well, I know there were bits based in truth. But if any had been true, that even the people now would be like, well, I know you.
Yeah.
But it's why I
Absolutely.
share much less personal, where I'm like, I don't need people to like me or know me. I don't care for your social media shit. I don't care for your fucking clout. It doesn't have value, and they are not your friends.
Now, I'm actually going to deliberately skip over quite a bit
Yay.
of how you built DBD to where it is today,
Okay.
because I think that's a separate episode where people are going to want to know about the business side, how you did it, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I love
But
me some
just for
business.
context, compared to CJB Strong,
It's so much
what is
bigger.
DBD?
It's like twice the size now.
How many?
And it's better because I don't have any fucking knobheads in it.
They're not allowed. They're banned.
Well, they are. Yeah, we have a blacklist. Yeah, it's about twice the size.
But numbers. Give me numbers.
There's 180 something athletes in it now. 189, 190 athletes.
How many of those do you coach?
Late 70-ish.
70-ish.
Yeah.
So a lot of clients.
Yeah, but like it's easier when you know how to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one thing that, again, say for an episode where you're talking about business and stuff like that and how you actually coach, because I'm sure there are some people who are like, I have this many and I have no time and I can't reply now. And how are you doing that? Are you not giving a good service?
It's
You give the
because
best fucking
you have
service.
another job and you don't coach properly.
Yeah.
If you say that actually you can't manage the time, you ain't worked that hard before. Like you just don't work that hard.
What would you say is the biggest difference between DBD and CJB Strong?
CJB was born out of me trying to help people.
Yeah.
DVD is about building a service for people. Like Beck, Alice, Ryan, they're aligned by the same principle of what it's about. I had a lot of momentum behind me with what I did before, and I was making rash choices. The people I brought to work with me, in hindsight, I have no idea what I was doing, but I was rushed because I felt like I needed to get somewhere quickly, and I don't know why. DVD is born out of knowing what value I have.
Yeah.
Not
being
feel-
a lot pickier.
I'm very,
With who you work
very
with.
harsh. As the guys will know, like Ryan, Beck and Alice will know, I'm very brutal with standards.
Do you trust them?
Ryan's new to me, and I don't think he'd mind me saying I don't trust him yet.
I
I
think,
trust Alice with like literally my life.
And any...
And hold on, and Beck has grown to be one of my closest friends, and I have the utmost time and respect for him. Ryan is new to me.
I think, you know, saying like, do you trust them is quite a big question, in the sense of people are like, well, why wouldn't you? And that's not fair to not trust them. But again, having seen
Have my
what
life
the people
experience, see how
that
you
you
feel.
trusted, what they did.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you need a part 2 to this, because we didn't even like scratch the surface on you as an athlete and all the shit you won, all your sponsorships, all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe part 2.
Mostly just the trauma episode, yeah?
Yeah. So a couple of questions from
Yep.
the fans. So first of all, we talked about very briefly your TEDx talk that you did. And John the Chef, you are known as John the Chef.
John the Chef.
So why are you ashamed of it?
Because it's so fucking bad.
Why? He
I
says he
love-
finds it immensely inspiring, as he finds you in general.
Grow up. So I was asked to do a TEDx talk. I was very excited to do it. I love the topic. I do well when you let me speak freely. I can draw from whatever it is on my mind,
Yeah.
and I can take the tangent and bring it back.
Yeah.
TEDx talk, you're timed to the second, and you have to hit the script. You can't even go off script. So it's a memorized talk. I fucking hated it.
Sorry, my knee hurts.
Is that what you tried to kick me
Getting
in the
old.
fucking head? Yeah, so it was so uncomfortable for me. And there are bits where I get stuck and I have to check my cards, and I apologise. Was not good.
It wasn't natural, free flowing.
Not even fun card. It's horrible.
Fair. How do you choose your clients? As in, like, what's the criteria for someone
I
to
asked
work with you?
2 questions.
Yeah.
Would you still train if you could never compete again? And what does it mean to you? If the answer is no, don't work with me. I don't care about your fucking comp trophies and your clout and your White Lights media photos. It means nothing to me.
Yeah.
I care about the people who care about what they do.
So there's no, like, entry level.
I can give a shit. I don't care if anyone ever competes. If they do, I'm very good at that.
When you took on me as a client, you take on pretty much anyone.
Yeah, well, we were sleeping together, so...
Your powerlifting origin story, I think that's one I'm going to have to say for when we talk about you as an athlete, but got
Did some
a rough
lifting, was
idea.
good at lifting, won everything.
Okay. How/if your goals have changed throughout your life?
Oh, Christ. It's been 30 years, mate. Goal at the beginning was to validate myself in being someone to someone, like to being someone, like being known as. Then I was known as, I wanted to leave a legacy. Then I realised that legacy shifts based on the mind of the person that you're with. So now my goal is to be happy with the work that I do.
Okay.
That's a really good answer for something I just improvised.
I'm not ready with the next question yet.
Okay.
What did the people in your life do for work when you were growing up? And did that influence you at all?
Both worked in pharmaceuticals, no.
Talking about your parents?
Yeah, I didn't have anyone else in my life. I didn't have friends for a long time.
I can understand why.
No, I was never around fitness. But my dad influenced me. My dad has incredible work ethic. When we were young,
Yes.
we were bankrupt.
Okay, so you talk about work ethic a lot in the sense of like, it'd be like, this person's got good work ethic, blah, blah. What, I know what it means. What does work ethic mean? Because I think that's a phrase that just gets, some people won't even understand what you mean by that.
Doesn't need doing. Do it. Anyone who's got
Willingness to work.
Well, just a willingness to like commit to the thing that like, if you, and it's the same in training, right? Like, if I say to you, what's your goal? And you're like, I want to be number one in the world. Right, here's the fucking tick list of stuff that he's doing. Are you willing to do that list? If you're not, you don't have good work ethic that aligns with your goal.
Yeah.
Good work ethic to me is I write to-do list every day. I am not going to bed without that list being done. Like, it's just an expectation of how much time you actually have and how much you can do. People drastically underestimate how much they can do in a day. You really underestimate how much you can do in a year. I'm like, if you actually put some fucking time into it, you have no idea what you could do.
You can complete a whole course in, what was it, 10 days?
You could do an entire degree in 10 days.
Still blows my mind.
Proud of that.
What life events have had the most impact on who you are as a person? Probably some that we've talked about, but...
Who I am as a person. I was the same person for a long time. Being cancelled changed me for a while. Finding the right people changed me again. I would say the people in my life right now have the biggest impact, have reminded me of things, has been Alice, has been Cleo. Evie's very new to me, but Eve's had a very big impact. And Tom, Molly and James have had a very big impact on me. I love a lot of my friends, but those people have impacted me in a way of being like, you can be loved, you can be who you are, and you have to change past that. And it was a willingness to associate. I hated myself again for the first time.
And they're not just willing, they're very proud to be friends with you.
It took me a long time to feel that I could be that again, regardless of what I did. So, yeah, that.
What do you hate more? People not pulling out the slack or calling you a PT instead of a coach?
Kaylee pulled the slack out the bar. Calling me a PT.
Does it happen often?
Yes.
Does it?
Yeah, literally happened like a day ago.
I thought you were a marketing manager.
I'm just a fucking social media manager, mate. I just like taking pretty photos.
Oh, God. Okay. I know relaxing to you is working, but what else brings you peace other than work?
Listening to music, taking photos, and being left the fuck alone. Actually, there's a couple of friends I like being around, having good conversations. There have been evenings, like, it comes to mind because it's happened more recently, just sat with like Cleo having a long chat about anything in life. I adore it.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're right.
I'm okay.
You're around a lot though, so I'm pretty bored of you.
Yeah. How many times have you nearly deleted Chloe's program for being so negative about herself?
Chloe has a massive amount of potential and she's actually a pleasure to work with.
But a bit of a wetty.
So I used it as a joke, and I think she actually might believe it's true, but I know what it's like to put harsh expectations on yourself.
Yeah.
And I actually think that she works very hard, and when you know you're capable of more, I understand that that can be very hard to manage, but also stop being a fucking pussy. Grow up.
What's a gym phase to skip as a newbie?
The social media shit.
Yeah.
Just, you look so fucking daft being such a social media bunny when you're right at the beginning. Like, enjoy it, but don't jump on everyone else's trend because you lose who you are. I'll tell you now, every coach and athlete I've worked with, the ones that are great are the ones who know who they are. When you are just trying to be the best second version of someone else, you're fucking boring. Like, some of my, Amelia is probably one of the most frequently mentioned clients because she is so unique in who she is and she does not care. She doesn't care for social media, but because if you talk to her, she's her, like being authentic. Most people are just so caught up in being someone else's picture.
Lucy, I'd say, is similar.
Yeah, Lucy very much
Lucy,
so. Similar.
we sort of say like, oh, she deserves so much more acknowledgement, but she just doesn't do it.
She doesn't seek it.
Yeah,
because she's so busy doing her thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting blind as I get older. I'm not.
You're looking at Spencer's question.
Yeah. What was the most unexpected turn in your lifting and coaching career? Let's start lifting first. Unexpected turn.
It was probably a negative. It's getting injured.
Yeah?
Because I couldn't find a coach.
What was your first big injury? I know you've had many.
I don't know if it's the hip flexor or the disc. There's one or the other. I can't remember.
One was at comp, right?
One was at a world championship. What's the fucking one though? I don't know if it was.
Suck it up, buttercup.
You just work harder. I think it was the first time I realised I might not get there.
Yeah.
Like I might not get to where I want to go. Like I could win stuff that wasn't fun. I wanted to hit a standard, and it shifted my career to be like, it's probably not you, mate. It's probably not going to be you now. That was hard. That was really hard to come to terms with. As a coach, being a counsellor was a bit of a shock.
It was a pretty big turning point, I'd say.
Getting to where I am now surprised me.
Yeah.
I knew I could in a sense, but there's two sides of me. There's the like realistic, and there's the me that's kind of just suffered through it and being like, wow, you actually did do it. Fair enough. Like,
I know at times as well, and I know it comes from the trust issues, which are completely understandable, and I know it comes from many other things in your personality and the experiences that you've had, but there are times where you'll even say to me like, am I doing okay? And I'll be like, are you having a fucking laugh?
I'll ask you if I'm doing enough a lot.
Yeah.
And I know I do it a lot. It's probably quite annoying. But I'll ask you if I'm doing okay, and I'll ask you if I'm doing enough.
Yeah. Because I think it still hasn't quite sunk in the reality of what you've created.
And that I work 14 hours a day.
Yes, really, you're just really tired and can't remember.
People really think that I'm dramatic about that.
No. I can vouch. You are fucking annoying. I get ignored all the time because you're working. We spend enough time together, that's not the issue.
It's my personality.
But, yeah. So, given that...
You have ADHD, I'm fucking rocking.
Yeah, do you know what? I was thinking that earlier. I was like, I am so still. And this one, can't stop moving. You've said on record that your prep for the DBD Open wasn't great.
Because my coach was shit.
Yes. With that on record, do you regret loading 280 based on how 267.5 didn't move as fast as you wanted it to?
Nothing felt good that day. And I wouldn't have been happy with anything less than 280.
Yeah.
And my coach guaranteed me that was doable because I
swear he wanted you to load more and you...
He asked me to load 290. Yeah. And he put 277 as a second attempt, and I was like, fuck me, you do not know me as a lifter. So
do you regret it?
No, I don't give a fuck. So like, the whole competition was shit for me. I hated it. I had the worst fucking day. Because no matter how amazing the community is, I came there for my first fucking time back on the platform, and it was shit. And I was so gutted, and the prep had been okay until I let him handle the actual last bit of prep. Well, you said it'd been okay. I'd written most of the fucking programme. Yeah, I would say your training and you doing the work and the outcome of that had been pretty good, but not the coaching. No, I just got fucking... Well, I didn't get a programme for most of it. So yeah, no, I who asked that? Jabril? No, these are anonymous questions. They're not anonymous. Who's been the most influential person... Who fucking acted my deadlift? Tell me. You're getting dropped, mate. Have a guess. Oh, is it Nathan? Yes. Oh, wow. I don't know. Do you regret loading that opening bench? Sorry, it could be opening or second or the third. Who's been the most influential person in your life? My mum. Your mum? Absolutely. Yeah? In what ways has she influenced you? Be kind in the face of difficulty and to put others first. She taught me. Always. Yeah. And do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life. Fuck off, Karen. You out of your mind? I work every hour of every day. Also, you wanted me to be a... What was it? Lawyer. And the other one? Physicist. Physicist. Have you ever struggled with the idea of if you were to coach someone on PEDs, like just like conflict with your morals? If they're public about it. Like, I don't really care what you choose to do. Like, I can't judge. think it's stupid. If you jump on early, if you're young and you're getting on drugs, get the fuck out. You're an idiot. If you choose to, and that's your life, I don't mind helping you get stronger, but I also it's a weird choice. And I can't advocate for drugs at all. I think it does awful things to people and it brings out the worst in people. But no, I don't really care. I'd rather just train drug-free athletes, in being fair, being honest.
Okay. Have you ever regretted coaching anyone?
Yeah.
Who?
Mostly the one that killed my fucking business. I'm not naming because
Whoa, mysterious girl.
I hate that that's just happened.
Everyone knows who we're talking about,
I won't
but
name
for legal
because we'll
reasons, names have been redacted. Top 5 best memories.
Ever.
Or 3, if you can't think of 5.
Christ. Winning my first World Championships.
Yeah? How did
Yeah.
that feel?
That's pretty cool. I won as a junior.
Just pretty cool.
I was a junior. Didn't
Is that
realise
the
I
one
was
where
going
you
to win.
thought that they missed you out?
Because I was like, I must have been 4th. And then got to second and third and I was like, fuck's sake.
They forgot about
And
me.
then they were first place Callum and I was like, oh shit, that's cool.
my name.
I knew I'd beaten the juniors, I didn't realise I'd beaten the open. Then Jamie winning because
yes.
I didn't compete for the first time at World Championship in that
Yep.
Fed and I coached him instead to win. I don't know. I'd love to say it's a moment we've had in our relationship, but it's not.
It's been pretty terrible.
Iceland together was one of
Yeah.
the best memories of my life.
That was the only trip we've done where it's only been the 2 of us.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know.
That was incredible. Highly recommend Iceland.
Cool.
10 out of 10. Last question. No, last question from the fans, and then I'll wrap up.
Okay, I don't know how long we got.
What is your favourite type of potato?
I flat out won't answer.
You hate
Grow up.
potatoes. That's not me asking
You are my favourite potato. No, not Riley is. Your face went from loving to so angry so fast.
I have been here so much longer.
I know.
Okay, right. That's all the questions for today.
Cool.
To wrap this up, what do you want to be remembered for? What is it that you'd want people to say at your funeral?
I can give a fuck. I'll be dead. Well,
What do you want to be remembered for? Because you mentioned legacy earlier and how that's a bit I don't know.
Because there's going to come a day that the last person will say my name for the last time. I won't have a legacy past that. I won't exist in 1,000 years. I want the people in my life to remember that I said the things I meant and I did the things I said I'd do. I want to be known for being authentic and representing being authentic. I won't lie. I will do what's right by people. I'll do the best I can. The truth of that statement, the best I can. And I'd like that to mean something. And if it doesn't, I'll be dead. So I'll pretend it did.
Fuck them all.
Yeah. I'm very much of the opinion these days that I'll ask for 4 opinions and past that I don't care. So the world can think what they want of me.
That's a lot of opinions.
You, my mum, and maybe 2 of my friends. Past that, if you don't like me, that's fine. I'm way less invested. As long as I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
If I'm happy with the things I did, my standard is definitely higher for myself than the rest of yours is for me.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
What's one thing, if anyone's made it to the end of this podcast, what's one thing that you would like them to know about you that we've not covered?
one thing they should know in general, do better things with your time. You've just wasted nearly 2 hours. Grow up.
Grow up.
Grow up. What would I want them to know about me? You know that thing, the Tom Holland reel that goes around? If you don't like me, text me. If you don't have my number, shut the fuck up. What do I want you to know about me? You either know it already or you don't need to know it. If you actually don't know me, doesn't matter. The people who need to know me, who actually know me, they have opinions. The rest of you don't know shit about me. Mm-hmm. So maybe just have the 2 cents to realise you don't know many people unless you actually ask.
Absolutely. Well, Callum, thank you so much for being on the Strength Studio today.
I'll have you know it's CJB.
CJB. Part 2 coming soon. Yeah?
Absolutely fucking not.
Rock, paper, scissors for a sweetie?
How about rock, paper, scissors to do an episode 2?
Oh, if I win, you're doing it?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, go, yeah?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No episode. Latest taters.